Hey everybody, welcome to Chase for the Championship. We are running out of games and coming down to the wires. The ACC teams get ready for conference tournament play and a push to get into that big dance. And man, we have a new top team, which looks a lot like the old team that won it all last year in the Seminoles. What happened to the Virginia Cavaliers? Duke is starting to look like the Duke of old. The Yellow Jackets are showing they aren't to be toyed with, man. And Coach Capel had not one, but two of his best players leave and enter the transfer portal. We got that and so much more to get to on a packed Chase for the Championship. But we start off at the top. And the name at the top of the ACC standings, no longer Virginia, as the Florida State Seminoles moved into that top spot. And after last night's game are shown they aren't to be toyed with, and they're going not to give up that position anytime soon. To see just how those Seminoles have worked their way back up the leaderboard, we're going to turn things over now to WNBB's Courtney Mims. Courtney.
Florida State keeps showing Miami who's boss as they took down the Hurricanes once again on Wednesday night, 88-71. The victory marked FSU's 7th straight victory over Miami, their 9th win in the last 10 games, too. Even with MJ Walker sitting out in this one, the Seminoles still dominated in the game. It was Sadara Calhoun who stepped up and scored a career-high 16 points in the win, and Raekwon Gray popped off with a double-double as well, 12 points and 13 boards for him. But the craziest stat of the night was bench scoring. The Noles bench outscored Miami 57-5 in this game, and that just goes to show what a threat this FSU team will be in the postseason. However, the game wasn't all sunshine and rainbows for the Seminoles. Forward Malik Osborne went down in the first half and had to be helped off the court. He did not come back in the game. That could be bad news for the Noles if he is injured for the next few matchups. Speaking of next matchups, the Seminoles look for another regular season sweep as they travel to North Carolina on Saturday. The Seminoles took down the Tar Heels 82-75 in early January in Tallahassee. Reporting on Florida State, I'm Courtney Mims.
Thank you, Courtney. Like she said, next time we see those Noles going to be on the court Saturday, 4 p.m. inside the Dean Dome, and they're taking on those Tar Heels. And for more on how the Tar Heels are holding up, we check in on WNCN sports anchor Alyssa Ray. Alyssa.
Chris, after North Carolina dropped 99 points in their win over Louisville Saturday, you'd think a matchup against a Marquette team with a losing record would be a breeze, right? Wrong.
The Heels entered Wednesday night's game on a 2-game win streak, 2 blowout wins over Northeastern and Louisville. North Carolina had its share of postponements and lost some home games because of it. That led to the scheduling of Marquette.
Well, if I'd known we were going to lose, God Almighty, I wouldn't schedule anything. Come on, we can't operate in damn hindsight. God Almighty. If you'd told me we were going to lose, hell yeah, we wouldn't have played the game. If you'd told me we were going to beat the Lakers, I'd have scheduled them. Carolina fans, they're not that dumb. If they are, I got no answers for them.
Another bump in the road for UNC as they still are looking for consistency, but they've lost before and bounced back. And with the regular season coming to a close, they'll do so again.
You got to look at the mistakes that we made throughout the game, the first half to the second half, and be ready for tomorrow. Obviously, we have a game coming up this weekend. Learn from it. And then you just move on.
It's not the end of the world for the Tar Heels. Another learning opportunity, if you will, and they have a chance to rebound in a big way, hosting number 11 Florida State this weekend. Covering the Tar Heels, I'm Alyssa Ray.
Thank you, Alyssa. Yeah, UNC freshman turning heads once again. Kerwin Walton becomes the 4th UNC freshman to earn the Freshman of the Week award this season. Only one other team has had 4 players claim Freshman of the Week honors in one season. That was Wake Forest in that 78-79 go-round. Walton averaged 16.5 points per game last week, going 12 of 20 from the field, including 8 of 14 from three-point range. He also averaged 3 assists as the Tar Heels topped Northeastern and Louisville. He matched his season out, 14 points in the win over Northeastern, then set his season high with 19 in the triumph over Louisville. Kerwin balling out. And it's been a rough couple of games for Tony Bennett's crew after an extended stay at the top. The team in the ACC, the Florida State Seminoles and the Duke Blue Devils, took the Cavaliers down not 1 but 2 pegs. However, as Coach Bennett has shown in the past, you count his teams out at your own peril. Someone who's been there to see it all firsthand is WRIC's Natalie Calabut. She joins us now with more on the Cavs. Natalie?
Number 15, Virginia, is in a slump. The Cavaliers dropped their 3rd game in a row on Wednesday, falling to NC State 68-61. It was Virginia's first loss at home this season, and it was a struggle from the beginning. Tony Bennett's team trailed by 13 points just 9 minutes into the game.
We dug ourselves in a hole, got some shots and just missed some, but there was a physicality that they had. Then we had to make some substitutions, and I thought we got more physical and kind of scrapped our way back into the game.
The Who's were able to close the gap to 6 points at the break, and back-to-back three-pointers by Sam Hauser tied the game early in the second half.
Sam obviously hit some, got hot late, played well. Jay, statistically, he didn't hit the threes but scored some. And then after that, it was hard.
NC State was able to create separation midway through the half and hung on.
NC State's playing good ball, and they're a talented team. And, if you don't play sound, good basketball, you'll get beat in this league. And we're certainly finding that to be the truth.
The Cavaliers will finish their home schedule on Monday against Miami. Then it's off to Louisville on March 6th to end the regular season. Covering Virginia, I'm Natalie Calabat.
Thank you, Natalie. Like she said, Cavs going to get that rest of the week off, rest of the weekend off instead of suiting up on Monday to play host to the Miami Hurricanes. John Paul Jones Arena. Tip-off for that one is at 6 p.m. And if ever there was a team that has been hit hard by the injury bug this year, it's the Miami Hurricanes. I'm not talking about COVID. They actually have yet to stop for a positive test due to that. But I'm talking about physical injuries. I mean, it's a wonder they've even won a game. They are 7-12 overall. They're 3-12 in conference play. Last night, they took on Florida State at home, and well, you know what happened there. Under these circumstances, it just takes the fun out of it. But they push on. The question is, how? I mean, how for that to fully explain what it's been like? How do you approach these tough times at Coral Gables? We go right to the source, Coach Larinaga. Explain it to us, Coach.
Right now, our approach is how can we find something positive to be keeping our mind on? Because we're in, quite frankly, a very miserable situation. We can't practice because of the injuries. It's very hard to prepare for an opponent because of one, the lack of time, and two, no players are available. So we don't have a point guard. Chris Likes and Harlan Beverly were our point guards. We don't have them. Our leading scorer, who's a two guard, Isaiah Wong, has been moved over to the point, and Cam McGusty is helping him. Our front court is depleted. We don't have Sam Wardenberg or Rodney Miller anymore. So it's really a matter of trying to stay positive and keep our head above water, because every day's a new drama.
I didn't realize it was going like that down in Coral Gables. Man, stay positive there, Coach. Push through it. Now, if you take a day off or two from anything, you're going to be a bit rusty. Take a week and it only gets worse. How about 2 weeks? How about 17 days away from your particular skill set? And it's going to take a while, man, especially when you're playing against someone that's been practicing every single day. That's what happened to Virginia Tech on Tuesday night against Georgia Tech. For more on what happened and where the Hokies go from here, we turn things over to WFXR's Jermaine Farrell with the latest. Jermaine.
The 16th ranked Virginia Tech men's basketball team returning to action on Tuesday as they took on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets at Castle Coliseum. And with the season winding down, the Hokies looking to regain momentum after being off due to COVID. And in the Battle of the Techs, it was their crew from Georgia taking over in the second half to beat Virginia Tech 69-53. After a 17-day layoff due to COVID-19 protocol for the Virginia Tech Hokies, they got back on the court Tuesday night to face the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. And even though the Hokies did lose the game, Coach Mike Young talked about the key to getting back on the floor.
I think that win, lose, or draw, we had to get this one. We had to get back on the floor. We had to play. We had to compete with limited practices, with, again, no excuse, Aaron. But I got, a number of guys over there in that hotel for 10 days, and you're going to come in. All right, now we're going to play an ACC league game. Good luck to you. But they did it. And they fought, but I take nothing away from Georgia Tech. They got a good team, fellas. They have a good basketball team. We all know that. You guys know how I feel about my team, and I can't wait. I can't wait to get back over here on Thursday. We'll take tomorrow off. I think they need that and practice and begin our preparations for Wake Forest. We'll play better on Saturday. I'll guarantee you that.
One of the key members of the Virginia Tech basketball team made a return to the squad against Georgia Tech. Tyrese Radford, serving out a suspension due to an arrest, made it back on the floor, and the Hokies were happy to have him back.
He followed the process and procedures of the department, Norm, and he was a champion throughout, did exactly what he was supposed to do, and, you know, here he is, and proud of him with how he's handled himself over the last 3 weeks, month. Good to have him back on the floor. He makes a better basketball team.
When Mike Young was asked about some of the flack he might get for putting Radford back on the team, he had some strong words.
I could care less. I'm going to do what I think is best in concert with the people that I work for here, and you know, thankful of their support, and I love that kid, and I am so happy that he is. That he's back in a Virginia Tech uniform.
The Hokies stay home for the next couple of games. As on Saturday, they host Wake Forest, followed by the home finale on Wednesday at the Castle against the Louisville Cardinals. Covering the Virginia Tech Hokies, I'm Jermaine Farrell.
Thank you, Jermaine. Like you said, Hokies this Saturday, they're going to host the Demon Deacons at the Castle. Tip time for that game is set for 4 p.m. The Demon Deacons might not have the best record, but they are a team on the come-up. And for more on the Deeks, we're going to send it to someone that knows all about them. I'm talking about WGHP's Clara Goodwin. Clara.
Wake Forest has now lost 3 straight games at home, and all of them were by at least 18 points. The Deacons had their worst offensive showing of the year, only scoring 39 points. That small number comes from shooting just 26% and only 2 buckets in the last 10 minutes of the game. Despite the poor showing, the team is still pulling some positives from the loss.
I thought today we showed a little more toughness and urgency on defense than what we did the last couple games. There was definitely some fight there, but we just had some breakdowns. We did a poor job of hedging.
I mean, they only scored 60 points. You know, we played a little bit better defensively, you know, a couple lapses, but I think defensively our effort was a little bit better than the last 2 games.
We're probably tired, but we're not going to use that as an excuse. I thought the kids played really hard for the most part.
You know, you can't just play defense and then not hit shots. You got to hit shots. So, you know, we got to go into the next game confident in ourselves offensively, but also just more connected defensively as well.
It seems like Clemson may be Wake's kryptonite. In 2019, the Deeks scored just 37 points against the Tigers. With 3 games left on the schedule, Wake Forest still has a chance to finish out the season on a high note, but things certainly aren't getting easier with the road trip to number 16 Virginia Tech on the horizon. To prep, there's going to need to be a big focus on offense in practice this week. Covering the Demon Deacons, I'm Clara Goodwin.
Great stuff, Clara. Thank you. All right, everybody, trivia time. ACC basketball historians, listen up. You're going to get this one. Maybe. Here we go. Now, these 5 former ACC big men won the Naismith College Player of the Year award and later went on to be drafted first overall in the NBA. Who are they? Yeah. Go ahead. Don't Google it. Don't Google it. Come on now. You guys know how to do this. We're going to have the answer a little bit later on in the show. And what a difference a week makes, man. Just a little while ago, people were saying that Duke Blue Devils would be at home for the NCAA tournament. One reporter even asked Kay if they would even go to the NIT if they were invited. Well, that was last week. Since then, Saturday's quad 1 victory over then number 8 ranked Virginia vaulted Duke back under the bubble to resuscitate the Blue Bloods program's NCAA tournament aspirations. Then on Monday, the Blue Devils cruised to an 85-71 win over fellow ACC bubble team Syracuse. Now they are 11-8, 9-6 in the ACC with a 47 net. They've won 4 in a row, but they face a gauntlet of games to close out the regular season. First up, Louisville on Saturday, and then it's the always dangerous Georgia Tech, and fouled up with North Carolina on the road. Remember when they played at Cameron and it was kind of meh, you know, not this time around. No, it's not. And Duke needs every win if they can muster if they want to hear their name called on Selection Sunday.
We've been in a lot of tough games. You know, when we were 7-8, you know, you're 2 possessions from being 5-10, but you're a couple possessions away from being 9-6. You know, so it's not like they were just horrible or anything. They lost close games. I'm sorry, I don't want to put it on them. We lost close game. And so they've learned from that without losing confidence.
Always did like that basketball math. That makes me smile. Duke sophomore forward Matthew Hurt named the ACC Player of the Week. Hurt won Player of the Week honors for the second time this season. He averaged 22 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, and wins over Wake Forest and then number 7th ranked Virginia last week. 16 to 22 from the field, 8 to 12 from three-point range last week. Talk about making it hurt, man. Hit 8 of 9 from the field at Wake, including 3 of 4 from 3, with 4 rebounds and 2 assists against Virginia. Finished 8 of 13 from the field, 5 of 8 from beyond the arc with 4 rebounds. He also came up with a clutch defensive play, getting a piece of Clark's potential game-winning three-pointer at the final buzzer. Well, joining us now is one of the players making the Blue Devils run. I'm talking about senior guard Jordan Goldwire. And Jordan, thank you for joining us. And you always hear about the experience factor coming into play. What's the most valuable part of your experience?
Yeah, honestly, I just think it's helping the young guys with whatever they need, whether it's something offensively or defensively. Mostly, honestly, defensively, just because we had some early struggles, and like you know now, we've picked our defense up and it's been tremendously better. So just trying to fight over screens and tell guys where they need to be in the right spot, and honestly, just trying to have that poise throughout the whole game.
Now, does that show up more in games or in practice when you talk to guys on the side?
Yeah, I would say a little bit of both, just because in practice, that's where we really go over it. And then you see it more in the game, it translates. So I'll say a little bit of both.
Now, I know we've heard it for the last couple of weeks, but Coach K has harped on it, I know, about not turning the ball over. The last few games, the turnovers have come way down. What have you all done to bring the turnovers down?
Yeah, I just think it's overall just a team effort of guys being more cautious of what we can and can't do, and just know that we need as many possessions as possible in order to win. So I just think it comes from everybody just trying to be more cautious in the decisions that we make, and know that turnovers lead to other teams scoring baskets. So just trying to play smart as possible and keep the game simple.
Has it hit you yet that this could possibly be your last game at Cameron, being a senior and all?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's been a crazy year, but you know, this is our last home game against Louisville. So, and I am a senior, so it definitely has come across my mind that it could possibly be my last game.
I know it's been a crazy year and anything could happen, but what would it mean to play in the NCAA tournament? And how disappointed would it be if you didn't make it?
Yeah, to play in the tournament, it would mean everything. You know, that's what you grow up watching. I've obviously had a little taste of it going to the Elite Eight twice, and then last year it getting cut short. But being able to play in that means a lot. And then if we don't make it, it's devastating. It's terrible feeling to have if we don't make it.
I think I already know the answer to this, but do you think you got the team to make some noise this year in the tournament?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think we have a team that's capable of winning a bunch of games. We've lost a lot of close games too. So I think definitely if we're able to get in that tournament, we can make some noise.
Thank you for hanging out there, Jordan. Next time we see the Blue Devils in action, we'll be at home this Saturday against the Louisville Cardinals. It's a must-win for Duke, and a win for the Cardinals. Would love to pull off a Cameron indoor, man. For the latest on that and what's going on with the Cardinals, we'll turn things over to Randall Parmley for a report from Louisville. Randall?
Well, it's been a weird 7 days for the Louisville Cardinals. The Cards returned from quarantine over the weekend. Good news, only to get blasted at North Carolina. Bad news. Now, Louisville managed to bounce back with a nice 12-point home win against Notre Dame. More good news. And then sandwiched in between those two games was the video. Weird news. Cell phone video of former Louisville football player Eric Wood and head coach Chris Mack appearing to mock Kentucky basketball. The video was taken after Louisville's win against UK earlier this season, with Wood saying UK was 0-1 against Louisville now that former Wildcats assistant coach Kenny Payne is gone. Mack appeared to be hyping up Wood throughout the video. Now, the Cards coach says it was a joke amongst friends, and Kenny Payne, no jab intended at John Calipari and Kentucky.
You know, was having Christmas at the house. A few neighbors walked over to my house, and they happen to be really, really good friends with Kenny Payne, golfing buddies. They go way back. Hang out together. They've known him. I don't know Kenny that well, but Eric and his buddy, really, really good friends with Kenny. They thought it'd be funny to FaceTime him, text him, and give him grief for the game. And that's what they did. but it was a joke amongst buddies to Kenny. How it got out, I have no idea, and it's really irrelevant. The first thing I really thought of was Calipari. You know, I didn't want him to think it was some shot, you know, that this was directed out to the World Wide Web and that I was trying to send a message to him. So that was the first person I called when I was aware of the video.
Oh, perhaps just a little more fuel to the fire for that Kentucky rivalry. By the way, Louisville will be at Duke on Saturday. Covering the Louisville Cardinals, I'm Randall Parley.
I don't think they need any more fuel for that Louisville-Kentucky rivalry, that's for sure. Thanks a lot there, Randall. Meanwhile, the Tigers are also dealing with a shutdown that saw them out of action for almost 2 weeks. Last night, they faced off with Wake Forest and hammered them 60-39. For more on the teams and where they go from here, we head to South Carolina, where we find WSBA's Pete Yannity standing by. Pete.
As the Clemson Tigers earlier in the week prepared to come out of a second COVID pause on the season, Brad Brownell, recognizing the fact the last time the Tigers resumed play, they lost 4 out of 5, had this to say about preparing for the return.
Doing some workouts with our guys, you know, they're like everybody's back is tightening up, you know, just from being off for 5 or 6 days or whatnot. Clearly, that's an example, and that doesn't happen, you know, on a regular basis if you're practicing every day, let alone just the conditioning of running up and down. We've certainly been probably more aggressive in our approach back here the last couple of days, but it's only been a couple of days. So you don't know how that's going to affect the guys in you know, in a real situation.
And the Tigers were just fine in their first game back, their first contest in nearly 2 weeks when they visited Wake Forest on Wednesday afternoon, put together a nice defensive effort on their way to a 60-39 victory, the 11th time under Brownell that a Tiger team has held the opposition under 40 points. Alex Hemingway, the sophomore guard, was the big story. He had 17 points. That's a career high as the Tigers get their 14th win of the season and their 8th in ACC play. And with 3 to go, further cement themselves as part of the upcoming NCAA Tourney Field, a Tiger team that then rolled into the weekend for a home game against Miami. Covering the Clemson Tigers, I'm Pete Yannity.
Thank you, Pete. Next time we're going to see the Tigers are going to be Thursday when they take on the Miami Hurricanes inside Little John Coliseum in Clemson, South Carolina. Tip is set for 2 p.m. Did I say Thursday? I meant Saturday. What am I looking at there? Sorry about that. Now, it looked like the Syracuse Orange were getting things right. I mean, they pieced together 3 straight wins over NC State, Boston College, and Notre Dame, and they were turning heads and talking NCAA bubble in some mock-ups. Then Duke brought them right back down to reality. For more on if this team is for real or just pretending, we're going to head to the man who's covered them all year, talking about WSYR's and Stephen Fonte. Steve.
Well, there's no way around it. Monday night's loss at Duke was a serious setback for SU's NCAA tournament hopes, but the team did get a small piece of good news this week. Syracuse will get one of its postponed games back. Clemson will visit the Dome on March 3rd at 5 p.m. Both teams were scheduled to be off next week, so at least that adds another opportunity for a quad 2 victory. But the biggest issue for the Orange right now is that they still have no quad 1 wins. They wasted another opportunity on Monday with another slow start. We've seen that time and time again with this team, especially on the road. We saw it at Virginia, at Clemson, most recently at Duke. Cuse dug itself a big hole in the first half, and that resulted in a lopsided loss. In fact, the last 4 losses for this team have all come on the road, all by double digits, by an average of 18.5 points. Not exactly the kind of numbers that the NCAA Tournament Committee will look favorably on.
There's no excuse. We're just not coming out and getting the movement we need to get on defense. And everybody wants to blame the guy. Trust me, it's got nothing to do with our guards. Our forwards are not playing defense. That's the best way I can say it. They're not. They're not covering. They're not coming up. They're just not.
Next up on the schedule is the last remaining quad 1 opportunity on the regular season slate. SU visits Georgia Tech at noon on Saturday. The Yellow Jackets picked up their second quad 1 victory on Tuesday at Virginia Tech. Covering Syracuse, I'm Stephen Fonte.
Thank you, Steve. Like you said, Orange on the court noon Saturday inside McCamish Pavilion. And winners of 3 straight. Those Yellow Jackets are showing they are ready to make some noise late in the season. On Tuesday, Moses Wright recorded his 5th double-double of the season, scoring 26, pulling down 10 boards to lead Tech to its 3rd consecutive win and perhaps its biggest victory of the season to date. 69-53 beatdown of Virginia Tech. With the win, Georgia Tech is now 12-8, 8-6 in the ACC, and picked up its 4th victory of the year over a nationally ranked opponent. They're now tied with Virginia Tech for most in the Atlantic Coast Conference, and also secured a coveted quad 1 win according to the NCAA's all-important net rankings. With its 2nd straight ACC road win, Tech also moved one step closer to potentially earning its first NCAA tournament berth since 2010.
I've never coached in a game that hasn't been big in my mind, but we understood the value of this. We're coming down to crunch time here. We needed a quad 1 game on the road. This is our 4th top 20 win this year, and we needed that extra game to go on our resume. So our guys knew that, and it was a huge win for us.
We definitely deserve to be at the top. So each game, we got to show that we are. So we're taking it game by game each day. We're looking at the big picture, but that's not really on our mind. We know if we handle business each game, we're going to get there.
All right, so that trivia question from a moment ago, did you figure it out without Googling it? Come on now, don't cheat. Here's the question one last time. These 5 former ACC big men won the Naismith College Player of the Year award and later went on to be drafted 1st overall in the NBA draft. Who are they? The answer is, tee 'em up, yeah. Virginia's Ralph Sampson, who won the award 3 times in 81, 82, and 83. He was drafted 1st overall in 83. The next 3 guys won the award in the late 90s. Maryland's Joe Smith, who can forget that Terp? Come on now, he's killing. Of course, Wake Forest, Tim Duncan. He wasn't bad, had a decent NBA career. And of course, in 97, and Elton Brand in 99, and most recently, yes, Duke Zion Williamson won the award in 2019. Players from the ACC have won this award at least once every decade since 1970. Not a bad little track record there. And 8 games ago, NC State lost its best player to injury when Devin Daniels hurt his knee against Wake Forest. Now, it appeared the Pac's fortunes went right down there with him. But last night, in a 68-61 upset win at number 15 Virginia State, they look like a team that has learned to win without their star player. And how have they done it? Well, CBS 17's Todd Gibson lets us know. Todd?
Make it 3 straight for NC State and 4 consecutive road victories as the Pac knocks off Virginia, sending the Cavaliers to their 3rd straight loss. The Pac playing some inspired basketball late in the season, helped by a freshman class that's coming of age.
I think it comes down to buy-in. I think it comes down to a sense of toughness. It's a mindset. You know, if you believe that you're not good, then you're not good. And we've talked about, obviously, all of these guys are really good basketball players. I've asked them to grow up a little quicker than they needed to. But we've completely bought in. You know, everybody's playing their role. Everybody is genuinely happy for one another. And typically you don't get that in a team.
2 games before we lost, the team that we lost to, they were just way more hyped than us, way more positive on the bench. And we could hear them the entire game. It felt like it was way more fans in there. So, you know, from then on, we just wanted to try to match that energy on and off the court. Being able to be on that stage and playing a lot of close games, it felt like we just building our chemistry and being able to play way better when it comes down to crunch time. So I feel like that's leads into like us being more confident in each other since, you know, we've been playing a lot of tight games when we're coming out with a lot of wins. So us as a freshman, us as a team, I feel like we're building our confidence. That experiences we're gaining builds the confidence in us to be able to, you know, be on the road and be there for the team and step up.
NC State is now 11-9 on the year with 3 very winnable games left to end the regular season as the Pac tries to build momentum heading into the ACC tournament. Following the Wolfpack in Raleigh, I'm Todd Gibson.
Thank you, Gibby. The Wolfpack going to hit the floor, like you said, Saturday. 4 p.m. is the tip to try and get a win from those Pitt Panthers. And over the last 6 games, the Panthers, they've had 4 losses, had a pair of them postponed. Their last win way back on February 3rd. Panthers are going to be well rested when they face the Wolfpack Sunday, that's for sure, with, you know, 8 days between games. I mean, it can be great to heal up the injuries, but without meaningful competition, it's problematic for keeping a team, you know, on the same page and well-oiled. So, Coach Capel, you worried about the amount of time off your guys have had before you play this weekend?
We had this when we were getting ready for Georgia Tech. I think we had a week off in preparation. I think it was Saturday to Sunday. I think it was the exact same thing. I think there was a game canceled in between there. And, I thought it helped us some. In some ways, I thought it hurt us, because we didn't have competition. I thought it took us a half. I thought it took us a half to really get back into competition. So we're going to try to make the most of it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to try to control what we can control. We're going to try to get better each day in practice. It will help to give some guys a little bit of a rest. We are a little bit banged up, like everyone is this time of year. But we're going to try to make the best of it.
Sounds pretty confident there. This going to be a bit of a problem. Coach Capel announced the departure of junior guard Xavier Johnson Wednesday afternoon. Johnson's going to enter the NCAA transfer portal immediately. He was averaging just over 14 points and 3 rebounds per, 5 assists per game in 18 contests, 16 starts. He was shooting just over 42% from the field, including 32% from the land of the great beyond. Johnson concludes his Pitt career ranked 30th on the all-time scoring list with 1,152 points. And Coach Capel announced the departure of junior Uddies Toney as well. Missed the Panthers' last game with an injury. Was averaging just over 14 points and almost 6 rebounds and 2.5 assists per game. He scored in double figures 12 times with 3 games of 20 or more points. And he concludes his Pitt career 763 points, 423 rebounds, and 80 steals. Those 2 guys leaving is going to hurt. Meanwhile, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish still very much kicking and fighting for a postseason spot. But they got some work to do. And to find out just how much work is ahead of them, we turn to Dave Griffiths to explain the long road or the short road, depending on how you look at it, to the postseason rather, for Mike Bray and the Irish.
Just when we thought Notre Dame was making a push to get back to the break-even mark, the wheels came off on a 2-game road trip. After bolting to a 20-point lead in the second half at Syracuse, Boeheim's bunch brought it all the way back. The Irish couldn't break the orange trademark zone and fell 75-67. Well, the Irish also knew Louisville would be a different animal on Tuesday night. A Cardinal press along with some athletic rebounding proved to be too much, and the Cardinals easily brushed aside the Irish, leaving Mike Bray shaking his head.
It's not a recipe for us to win a game. I mean, and I'm sitting there watching really almost 40 minutes of this is going to be intense defense, and we're going to struggle. And can we rebound it well enough, to hold them off? And we never really could. We tried. We'll spurt in the second half, but 5 point, when we cut it to 5, it still felt like 10 because everything was so hard.
The Irish flaws have been exposed, and now Notre Dame must win its last 3 games, starting with a visit to Boston College Saturday, just to finish 9-9 in league play. It's a tall task for a veteran team that just can't find the consistency. Covering Notre Dame for Chase for the Championship, I'm Chris Widlick.
Thank you so much, Chris. Like you said, they're on the road this weekend. They travel to Conti Forum, Chestnut Hill, taking on the Boston College Eagles. Tip time for that one, by the way, 2 p.m. Meanwhile, those Boston College Eagles know the way to say it. Man, they've been through some stuff. First, the COVID issues, and they've been through numerous pauses. They go on lengths of time without playing games. They get a few, then another pause. The only stable thing in the program was their head coach, Jim Christian, and last week the school fired him. Scott Spinelli took over in the interim, but you want to talk about where we go from here. How do we push forward? I mean, they're supposed to play Georgia Tech and North Carolina last week, but they were both postponed. I mean, I'm wondering just how crazy weird it must be for the players. Coach?
The last couple of days, obviously it's been a little bit of a different, scene, but, the kids have responded very well. I mean, they've been enthusiastic, they've been upbeat, and they're working hard in practice. We've had 9 players. And again, we're trying to get better. We're working a lot defensively on our build-up 1-on-1 to 2-on-2, the 3-on-3 stuff. And, our goal right now is to continue on this path here that we set forth, that Coach Christian set forth for us. And we're going to carry the torch and see if we can continue on and, win some games here and make a run in the tournament.
Now, the school is looking at people as we speak for the head coaching job, including the man we just heard from there, Scott Spinelli. He is really known as a great recruiter. He's previously the top assistant to Jim Christian. He's never been a head coach other than 2 stints at prep schools in the early 90s. He's been a top assistant at Maryland, Texas A&M, Wichita State, Nebraska, as well as a scout for the 76ers. This is definitely not the way he wanted to get a head job, but you have to step in when the opportunity arises. He addressed just that earlier this week.
I was asked to take on this position. I talked about it with Coach too before that. And, and my job right now is to continue to represent, this program, Boston College, the best way I possibly can. We owe it to these players here to make sure after what they've gone through to give max effort, which I think our staff and all of us are doing. Right now, as far as that side of it, it's way beyond my control. I'm just trying to work hard every day with our staff to get our guys better, and that's really where we stand today.
Well, it's almost tournament time as we come down to the wire here in the ACC's regular season. Teams fine-tuning, some getting better, some seem to be regressing just a little bit. So let's bring on our expert, Jason Logan from Covers.com, to make sense of where to place the smart money here. And let's start with the Duke Blue Devils, who you told us to look out for heading into that matchup with Virginia last weekend. The Dukies follow that performance with a big win over then bubble team Syracuse and have now strung together 4 straight victories. Have the Blue Devils brought their NCAA tournament hopes back from the dead?
Yeah, there is momentum gaining that is putting Duke kind of back on the bracket bubble. And that's kind of where they sit right now. The win over Syracuse was pretty big. And then they had that resume win over Virginia. And that has Coach K's kids back in the conversation. There's still a lot of work here to do for Duke, including there's a home date versus Louisville on Saturday, and a win over the Cardinals would be another W over a tournament-bound team. And then Duke has road games at Georgia Tech and then a big one at UNC. And that trip to Chapel Hill could be more weight than rivalry and revenge in that one, because UNC looks to be a bubble team as well too. Duke's starting to creep up in the ACC tournament futures odds as well too. They're now plus 700, and when we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, they were plus 1,500 to win the ACC tournament. So basically, slice their odds in half. They're tied right now as the 5th overall choice with Louisville. Momentum can mean anything when you come to that tournament format. So if Duke can stay hot here, they have a chance to make waves in the ACC postseason and maybe punch their dance ticket on Selection Sunday.
The North Carolina Tar Heels set up a makeshift matchup with Marquette and lost to the Eagles this week. How does this hurt the Heels' NCAA hopes, and what do they need to do against Florida State this upcoming weekend?
Yeah, the Tar Heels, they were dinged a bit for that loss, which was a quad 3 loss against Marquette. And many bracket projections kind of have them getting into the first 4 or being one of these big bubble teams. I kind of praise Roy Williams for getting a matchup in a contest, another home game, just being competitive and trying to boost it. Did it backfire? I guess we're going to have to see how the selection committee weighs this. But all can be forgiven, however, if they pick up this win against the mighty Seminoles at home on the weekend. Florida State's won 4 in a row. They're 2-1-1 ATS in those games, really revving their engines on offense. The big thing for UNC is don't let Florida State get hot early. Florida State is averaging 43.5 first half points during this winning streak. That includes 49 points in the opening 20 minutes versus Miami on Wednesday. And what's one thing that the Heels are really, really bad at? Well, it's first half defense. North Carolina ranks 242nd in first half defense. They allowed 45 points to Marquette in the opening 20 minutes on Wednesday. They gave up 41 points to FSU when they faced each other back on January 16th. So the Tar Heels have to come out and really, really play some defense and don't allow FSU to get that hot hand.
Now, it's a busy weekend in the ACC. What matchups should bettors keep an eye on as we head into the home stretch of the regular season?
Yeah, so for those that like to bet college basketball over-unders, those totals, you can find some notable differences between home and away results. In the North Carolina State Wolfpack, they're one of those teams producing varying over and under results, kind of depending on the venue. So on the road, the Wolfpack have been perfect for over bettors. They've topped the total in all 9 true road games this season. They're red hot over bet so far on the road. However, at home, NC State is just 3-7 over under, actually almost a complete flip of this. Heading into Sunday's home date with Pitt, the Wolfpack allows 65.5 points per game at home, which is almost 9 points less than the road average of 74.1. If you look offensively, they actually score slightly higher on the road when compared at home. And they went over the total in 3 straight road stops, including an over win versus Virginia on Wednesday, which is tough to do against that Cavs defense. That win over Virginia does set them up for a bit of a letdown spot here. And there's also going to be a lot of familiarity between these programs because they played each other at Pitt on February 17th. NC State edged them out for a 74-73 1-point win in that one. So the tape sessions are going to be really, really effective defensively because not much has changed with the playbook between these two teams. It's not like they played in early January and now at the end of February. It's pretty much going to be the same plays, same teams that you're going to see. The status of guard Thomas Allen is he's questionable. This is going to be a big one there too. He missed the last 3 games with an ankle injury, so you want to keep an eye on him. But I think we might be looking at another under and possibly fading the Wolfpack at home here.
He is Jason Logan of Covers.com, the man, the myth, dare I say the legend. Thanks for crunching the numbers, because I definitely would not be able to.
Thanks. Enjoy the games, Chris.
No, that's true. I'm terrible at math. Thanks for hanging out there, Jason. Now, missing games due to COVID, that's one thing, but shutting down programs and not being able to practice, that's quite another. Clemson's men's basketball team has missed its last 2 due to positive COVID-19 tests in the program. Clemson returned to practice last Saturday for the first time in about a week, and as last week's games against Notre Dame and Pitt were postponed, getting back on the court is not as cut and dried as it sounds. Unable to practice, players lose their edge, lose their conditioning, and everything that comes with being a well-oiled machine on the court. We asked Coach Brownell and Coach Forbes what they learned about bringing guys back from a shutdown.
Doing some workouts with our guys, they're like everybody's back is tightening up, just from being off for 5 or 6 days or whatnot. And all of a sudden you start doing some work with a guy and he hasn't been in a defensive stance in 6 days. And all of a sudden you got him in stances doing stuff that, the old school slides and zigzags and all that. And, you got 4 guys on your team dropping out because their backs are all tightened up and they're waiting for the trainer to come stretch them so they can get back out there.
I didn't go live for a while because I was afraid somebody was going to get hurt, so we tried not to have contact for I don't remember, first 3 or 4 days. We did some defensive slides like he's talking about, but you're right. Their back tightens up, their hamstrings. And so you got to be really careful.
And in a matter of days, we're actually going to be heading to Greensboro for the ACC tournament. In years past, the seating would take care of itself. Schedules were all uniformed, et cetera, balanced. But this thing has been anything but uniformed and balanced. Some teams have played 20 games. Some have played just over 13. And it begs the question, how do you seed a tournament like that when the teams have played such an uneven schedule and competition? Or should they not mess with it and just chalk it up to this being the season of COVID?
There's no way for it to be equitable. I mean, it's never going to be equitable based on, unless you play a true round robin and everybody plays everybody twice, then it's never equitable. So yeah, is it a little more, uneven this year? Sure. So I really don't care.
Listen, if it favored Georgia Tech so we could get the 1 seed, I would be happy for it. But other than that, I trust Paul Brazo and going to leave it in his hands.
These Coach Pastors keeping it real with that 1 seed. All right, let's back this up a step further. The goal for most teams in normal years is to make it to win the conference tournament. But we already know this year is anything but normal, which makes us ask the question, would a team be up for skipping the tournament? I mean, would it be more harmful in some places to go to Greensboro with all that's going on, say if, they only had 7, 8 scholarship players, or if, they're worried about COVID issues, which there are still some very big issues out there. Let's not forget teams last year did not play, and the risks were far less then when they canceled this tournament a year ago than they are right now. We asked the coaches if there were any circumstances where they would just not attend. Here's what they said.
I haven't given any thought to that at all. I haven't talked to my players about that. That's never been a consideration. As long as we can put a team out on the floor and hopefully at least 6 guys, that will be in Greensboro.
We've had some unfortunate breaks with injuries and, just like every other team this year with COVID protocol situations with guys. But, our kids are dialed in. They're focused. Again, their energy level the last couple of days in practice has been excellent. And we're going to continue to keep building on that. And, we're hoping that we can get into the ACC tournament like we set out to do this year prior to the season and make a run.
Good to know the guys we all talk with are all good to go. And finishing up here, to say it's been an odd year, that's an understatement. So many things we just did not know when the ACC ended the season last year. I mean, it was scary. I was actually there on the floor when the commissioner was there when he awarded FSU the trophy, and then we all cleared out of Greensboro, man. They were, burning rubber to get out of the parking lot. When they began practicing this year, it felt weird. Playing games felt weird. It still feels weird, just off. I'm surprised we actually got this far, to be honest. So we asked some of the guys versus what they were thinking at the beginning of the year until now. How did their expectations of the season meet with the reality of what has actually happened?
I feel pretty good in Blacksburg to be here with that number of games played.
We've played 20 games to date, and I remember when I looked at that in October and said,
because the NCAA wasn't very confident. Remember, they said, hey, 13 games played to be eligible for the tournament. That was where their confidence was back in October. So you almost feel like it's gravy right now, anything 20 plus.
I knew, okay, it's good and there's not going to be fans. I'm just grateful for how many games we've gotten to play and how many practices. I think we've talked about it before. It's a little disconnected. I feel for our players because their college experience is so much about being with their classmates, hanging out, playing in front of crowds.
Everyone, I think, has done a really good job of trying to make the most of an incredibly weird situation. It's still weird. It still doesn't feel the same playing and no one's there. You know what I mean? Like that's still just really, really odd. And a little bit uncomfortable, to be honest with you. So just trying to navigate all of that, man, has been wild.
I thought we would, there's no way you're going to go through a season unscathed. I didn't feel like there was any chance. I actually think, to be honest with you, things have gone really well.
Better than expected, that is for certain. Oh, and by the way, the ACC, they're going to have some fans in the stands up there. And tune in. We'll give you the lowdown on that one next week. Now, we got a new leader atop of the standings here as we inch closer to conference tournament time. 3-game losing streak by Virginia has them behind the red-hot Florida State Seminoles this week's standings. Virginia Tech and Louisville round out the top 4. Top 4 teams have remained the same for 4 consecutive weeks now, despite a little bit of shuffling. It's the same crew there. And we're talking about Clemson and North Carolina after that, with Duke coming in at number 7. And we're talking about Georgia Tech checking in at number 8. They too have put together a late season surge. Syracuse is 9th, and NC State is hitting on all cylinders too after that win over Virginia. They're 10th now, followed up by Notre Dame and Pitt. That rounds out the top 12. Wake Forest remains 13th, despite, trying to get things straightened out. Miami 14th. Boston College remains in last place at 1-9. They haven't played nearly 2 weeks. I just hope they can get on the court, man, because that's a bad situation up there. Pulling for you, fellas. All right, thanks for joining us for Chase for the Championship. Remember, you can watch a brand new episode every Thursday night at 7. And until next week, get out there and watch some basketball. You only got a couple of weeks of the regular season left here. I'll see y'all next Thursday.